Hello everybody, it's Sherry with Pellet to Pellet, back again to show you how to assemble our Corbel shelf. If you've purchased the file, the SVG file, and you've cut it on your laser cutter, I'm going to show you how to put that together. So give me just a second. So here are, I'm going to put the shelf aside. We don't actually need that right now. So I'm just going to push that to the back for a minute, and I'm just going to show you how all of these pieces go together. So hopefully it makes sense for you. These pieces actually layer on top of these, and they sit flush at the bottom and to the left. So for instance, you're going to want all of these to sit like this, okay? Flush at the bottom and flush to the left, so that they're like, it's flush right there and it's flush down here. So we're going to glue those together, and you're going to do that on both sides of both pieces. Okay? Let's actually do that. Now I like to use wood glue because it lets me reposition stuff if I want to, but I don't necessarily like to use wood glue without putting it on like this. So I actually just use my fingers and I dab it on until it's tacky. Then I put my pieces on. And so these haven't been painted yet, so with these ones I'll spray them, and then I'll come back in and do some rustic type feel to them. So I'll show you what I mean on a pair that is actually for corbels. So I came in and put some black, just sponged lightly on some certain spots on this to give it that vintage farmhousey old look. So I'll spray paint all the pieces white when I'm ready. And then I will show you how to put all of these other pieces on so that it makes sense. So I know sometimes when you buy a file, it's hard to figure out how to put it together, and doing a video is easier for me than trying to do a PDF and take pictures and try to write it all out and explain it. So I will do it this way, post the video up to my YouTube channel with the link and the file so that hopefully you can find it. And if you found the video and didn't find the file and you have a laser cutter, I have two. I have a Glowforge, and I have a Glowforge Pro with the pass-through slots, and I have a larger laser with a 24 by 35 bed that is an OM Tech 80 watt. So I have two. I started with the Glowforge. It was a perfect starting one for me, and then I needed something bigger and faster, and that's when I went with the OM Tech 2435. It's an AF 2435, which is the autofocused with an 80 watt laser tube. Okay, so now this is where we start layering pieces. So we need these two, and this gets layered on top of this. So again, with the glue, this also prevents it from, swooping out the sides. So with it, you're going to make sure it's flush on this end. In between, you're just going to center it right in between left and right there, so that it's centered right between the two prongs that come out. So we're going to center that on there, and I'm going to put a little clip on there to help that one. Same thing with this one. Let me get my glue on there, and I always have a wet baby wipe handy. I think the wood glue works best for me because I'm painting this piece afterwards. If it already had paint on it, wood glue obviously adheres best wood to wood. So if it was already painted, you're going to want to use a different type of glue. So now these ones, kind of the same concept. The one with the keyhole goes on the back, and the one with the oval goes on top of that, centered. You're going to want to make sure that those squares are lined up. So it's going to look like this. Your keyhole, hold on, I'm trying to get you. You're still going to see the keyhole through the oval a little bit, but what it's doing is it's acting as a spacer, so that when this is on the back, there's room for the nail to go through and then for it to, slide onto the nail head. So that's all we're doing, but we just have to make sure that those are centered when we glue those on there, so that those the squares line up. Now, this file was created using Columbia Forest product Pure Bond 1/4 inch birch. As long as it's the 1/4 inch, it can be any wood that Columbia Forest Products Pure Bond sells, but these slots and squares were made for that thickness of wood. If you have a different thickness of wood, this isn't going to fit well with your pieces, and I'll explain that in just a second. So I made these squares so that they're the proper thickness of each piece of wood. Okay, so because this Columbia Forest Products measures like 0.196, I make my holes 0.20, or my slots and tabs, so that they fit in there nicely. And here's the tab that I'm talking about, and it's going to fit inside of this square. And see how it's nice and snug? And we are going to glue it, but I just wanted to explain that a little bit, that's why it will, if you had thinner material, then this slot isn't going to come out that thickness, and it's not going to fit the 0.20 square. We're just going to glue these on and make sure they're centered so that the squares line up. And the same thing on both. And I'm just going to put a little clip on there. I think you can see that. So I might as well put the clip on there and let it dry for a moment. So I'm going to leave that just for a minute, let them dry for a second while we do the other sides of these ones. So make sure, okay, lay them on there first so I don't put the glue on the wrong side, right? So same thing, flush to the bottom and the back. It looks flush to the bottom and the back, and now I'm going to clamp it tight so that that stays where it's supposed to. So that one's good. Now we've got our last one here. If you guys can let me know in the comments if you're finding the videos useful as far as for assembling the files. And if you found this video and you don't have a laser cutter and you would be interested in just ordering some of the blanks, send me a message on my Facebook page, and we can talk about that. All right, I've got that one lined up good too, so I'm just going to clamp that one down nice and tight. Make sure it's stayed. I think I need a little more up here. That won't, will that fit over 3? Sometimes the clothespins fit over 3 layers of wood to hold it down, and sometimes it doesn't. I'm just finding a couple spots where it was coming up, so I'm just going to get it nice and tight on all 4 corners for a minute and let it. Lots of clips on that one. This one looks good. Oh, right there, I can use a little bit more. And of course that tipped over. Okay, so that one looks good. All right, so we're going to let these dry for a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, we've got everything dry, and now we're going to finish assembling. So I had to get a little bit more glue because my other glue dried up. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back of here. Now the most important thing that you need to know about this part of the assembly is that the keyhole hanger needs to be where this is at a 90-degree angle, okay? So the skinny part is what goes in so that the keyhole hanger is on the back, and this needs to be at the top, and where it's a 90-degree angle is where we're putting it. You don't know how many times I've went to assemble this and that was flipped around, and that doesn't work that way because it would hang that way and you can't put a shelf on that. So we're going to go this way. So make sure that that keyhole hanger is at the top and overextending over that 90-degree corner there. And I'm going to just stick this on here just so that's nice and tight. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. So because these are 3 layers thick, it gives you a nice surface area for the glue. So again, here's the corner, and I'm making sure my keyhole is up near that corner, and I'm just putting that in the three square holes for the pegs, and clamping that down. And since I've just got it on this layer, I'm going to go ahead and clamp this side too. So it's got the same pressure on both sides. Okay. And we're going to go back over to the first one. And this fits on almost the same way. We're just, where it's grooved out is going where that 90-degree angle is, and it's hitting where this first one is overhanging. So this, the thinner part, the skinnier part goes on the inside, the fatter part on the outside, and same thing. So we're just going to put some glue. You can actually put it on here, then you know you're not getting too much. I don't like it to, oops, it's probably done anyway. Put that like that, and then we clamp this one up somehow. Yep, so we're going to let that dry on there. So this is what you're going to end up with, and this is going to be how your shelf hangs. Let me do the other one real quick. So the shelf just sits on top of it. You can glue it to the top if you want. So it doesn't take very long for the wood glue to set up enough to make it stay. I just wouldn't actually put anything on the shelf yet. Let it dry for a little bit. So same thing. The skinnier piece goes on the inside. The prongs go to where the other one was overhanging on this 90-degree. corner. Put that on there. And I'm going to try to clamp this in there, putting some pressure down on this to hold that down. All right. So then when you go to hang it and you put, let me turn this around. When you hang this on the wall, you put your nail in the wall and hang that on there, you've got your two shelves or your two corbels, and then this can either sit right on top like this, or you can glue it down. You can glue it down on top. And you don't have to use just a rectangle piece. You can use a decorative piece of wood or any other piece of wood that are to these measurements, which I don't know what they are off the top of my head. 5.122, I believe, is the length of that. Where's my tape measure? Not here, of course. 5.122 by 12, I believe, is what we have. Okay, got the 12 part right. The 12 part's right, but this must be like 4.5. So the depth from the back of the shelf to the front is 4.5. So if you have a 4.5-inch shelf, you don't need to use Glowforge wood or laser cut wood, and it doesn't have to be. This is just a rectangle, so it doesn't have to match a thickness of anything. You can put any thickness of wood on top of these. So I'm going to go paint them, and I will post a finished picture, and there you have it. Adorable little shelf. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.